Welcome to another lesson at BBR Productions YouTube channel where we go over how to be successful in your career, specifically the entertainment industry. You may be saying to yourself, why am I watching this video? Well, if you're somebody who feels like they should be further in their career or they are just starting out on their career but they don't really know what to do, this video is going to go over 5 reasons why you may not have found success or why you are not being successful in your career. So we're going to go over the 5 examples and the things that you should be doing. And I'm going to give some examples within it as well. I'll be talking about each of the things individually. Now, as always, I'm Thomas J. Beleza. So please like, comment, and share this video along with subscribing for future content on how to be successful in your career, specifically the entertainment industry. If you have questions along the video, please let me know in the comments below. I'm always happy to answer any questions. All right, let's get right to it. So 5 reasons why you may not have found success yet. Number 1, you've not yet defined what success looks like to you. A lot of the times what we do is we just go, hey, I just want to be a successful musician. I want to make a living doing acting. I want to make a living writing books. That is not necessarily a defined version of success. Making a living in doing X, Y, and Z. But what does that mean? What does making a living mean? Now, why do we want to have direction? Why do we want to define it? Because defining it gives direction. Once we say to ourselves, for example, I want to be successful in music, making a living playing out, right? Well, first you have to define those. What does playing out mean? Is it just playing out? What if you start doing session work? What if you start working with other musicians? What if you start working within the field of your industry and not necessarily just you doing your music? And what is a living? Is a living within a budget? Is a living you're just paying your bills? Defining that allows you to set a course. Why? Because the defining gives direction. Direction helps with a plan. Plans allow you to track milestones, okay? For example, BBR's definition of success is making a living within your field of interest. A living is not a lifestyle. A living is affording your average monthly overhead or living within caps of that budget. So basically, if you're making a living as defined by what a living is, surviving on your budget, and by the way, increasing money over that budget to organize it into your 3 needs of purpose, etc., etc., you are then succeeding in the definition. So how do we get to that? Well, by defining it like we just did, we know what our direction is. We know that we want to make a living within our field of interest, which is a broader term than just making a living, say, playing your music out, right? Or acting, right? So we know that the direction is that we want to make a living within our field of interest, which if it's the entertainment industry, basically if you're making, if any money that you're bringing in allows you to afford your monthly overhead, you are doing your living. You're successful. But the direction helps you with the plan. So if we go, all right, I need to get into the industry. So I need to be also making a living, right? So I have to be able to support X amount of dollars per month. I need to know what my average monthly overhead is. And once I know that, then I know what I need to be bringing in monthly. But more importantly, which we will get to in this video, what if that money was supplied already and you were surviving more so on that money, and any money you brought in, you were paying your bills with on top of that, right? So we know that we need to have a startup capital. We need to know that we have to start getting involved and building relationships with people. We know because we want to make a living within our field of interest, we got to be in that industry. We don't necessarily, if I want to be an actor, I don't necessarily have to be acting. If I want to be an actor, I don't necessarily have to be acting. Acting will be something that is rewarded to you for doing your job. Because remember, on this channel, we always say what you do is not your job. Your job rewards you financially to do the thing you do passionately. So by being involved in the industry, being involved in your community, it will lead to opportunities where people say, hey, you want to act in this, right? Okay. So number 1, you've just not defined what success is for you. So sit there and think about what would success look like to you. And you get to define it. You don't have to use the BBR definition of success. You could use your definition of success. You could say to yourself, this is what success is to me. All right. And once you understand that, write that down. However, think beyond make a living acting, make a living playing music, make a living selling my art. Think beyond that. What does success look like to you? Define it, specific details, and it could be a page, it could be a paragraph, but it has to be complete. Think of SMART, specific, measurable, attainable, realistic, and timely. Okay, think about that to kind of, and any words that you come up with, like making a living within your field of interest. What is living? What is making a living? Define that. Okay, so define elements within that. Number two reason why you may not have found success, focusing on a product creatively or physically. All right, what this means is that a lot of creative minds, artists, they focus on the thing and not necessarily the effort. The effort, again, is the whole, it rewards you financially to do the thing you do passionately. If I create phones like the greatest phone ever is not going to sell just because I created it. You understand? I have to do what? I have to get people to know who I am, because if they know who I am, that means what? You're interested in me. So if I know people and those people know me back, and I know myself well enough to know what my strengths and weaknesses are within that growth of that relationship, they're going to say, "Oh, are you still working on that phone?" And I say, "Yeah, I got the phone." But marketing is more than that. Just because people know you, they don't have to necessarily be your friends. Your audience is the marketing, right? It's people who know you. And you can know your audience, but you don't necessarily have to know them individually. But the networking aspect is you understanding your audience, knowing that it's not just the phone, but that you're solving a problem, okay? So by focusing on the product creatively or physically, people cannot connect, right? Or relate. If I have this phone, right? The iPhone exists, right? This is an Android. But let's say I make a new phone and I say, hey, I'm going to focus on the product creatively or physically. This is the physical, right? And I'm not finding success because I'm like, hey, I got a new phone. This is called the Wibble. But there are people who are already emotionally attached to or connected or relate to the brand of Apple or the brand of Android, to the point where Android users and iPhone users, bad heads, right? They always make fun of each other, okay? So if you're focusing on the product creatively or physically, right? This is probably why you're not finding success, because people cannot connect to your product. No one connects to the greatest phone ever. They connect to what Apple stands for, the status of Apple, okay? What are you trying to accomplish? This is also important. So if you're an actor or a musician or a writer, what are you trying to accomplish? If what you're trying to accomplish is, I want to write a book or I want to make money playing music, you are still focusing on the product creatively or physically. People cannot connect to, I want to make money. If I do what everything I do is, I want to just be playing music and getting paid from people, who's going to connect to that? If I'm like, hey, I just want to write, I just want to write, I just want to be an author, I wish I could just stay home and write, and people just pay me and buy my books because it's so awesome, amazing, unique, so I bought it. No one's going to relate to, I'm awesome, amazing, unique, and I want people to buy my books so I don't have to go to work. You can't relate to that. You can't relate to that. Same thing with the phone. I made a great phone. I want people to buy the phone so I don't have to go to work. I want to make money on the phone I created, right? You can't relate to that. No one can, right? But they relate to your mission. So what are you trying to accomplish? What is it you're trying to accomplish? And that accomplishment that you're seeking to do is what people will connect to or relate to, right? And you think, well, how can I, as an entertainer, an actor, writer, musician, whatever the case may be, even a director? It's what you're trying to say. What do you do or want to do with what you do? And what are you trying to say? If you're a writer, it's not just that you're writing a book. You know how many, first of all, there's only like 7 real stories you can tell out there, right? It's chasing the monsters, the hero's quest, they got to get, whatever the case may be, right? But what are you trying to say? What is your voice, right? You ever hear that? Oh, a comedian's trying to find their voice comedically. The musician's trying to find their voice musically, lyrically, right? Actor's the same thing. If you think of an actor, if you think of Brad Pitt, what do you think of? What is his missions? How about not Wahlberg, the Hulk. right? So if you think of actors, they have missions. They have things they try to accomplish in life, and because we agree with what they're doing with their celebrity and their wealth, we say, all right, I can respect that person. I support that person. But more importantly, what kind of movies are they doing? They're saying something with what they're doing. They're not just doing random movies. If you look at an actor's career, in the very beginning, a lot of actors they'll do like random stuff. But then they find their footing, they're so involved in the industry that they have the right connections and the people know who they are, they know who people are, they built up brand value. And you notice they start making films that say a very specific thing for them. They might be different films too. They might be like 30 different kind of films, but there's a through line to what they represent. Maybe they're trying to bring enlightenment or encouragement or growth or validation or elevate society. Maybe they're trying to say something more. Maybe they're trying to bring attention to something. You know, you have to think about that. Some actors are they just do action films. But what are they saying? They're elevating the machonism, right? Like a Sylvester Stallone or Arnold Schwarzenegger. What are they saying? Just saying, I'm a big tough person. I can get through this. I'm gonna beat it. Blah blah blah. I know it doesn't sound like much, but it is true, right? So as a writer, when you're writing your stories, what are your stories really saying? What are the elements, the subject matter you're talking about? How do people relate to that? Are they relating to these tough characters or these vulnerable characters or whatever the case may be? Even when you do comedy, right? I always use Dennis Miller because it's such an extreme. Dennis Miller is a political comedian. His voice is about politics, so he makes fun of politics, and not just Democrats. Even though he's a Republican, he also makes fun of Republicans. He makes fun of politics. Um, another person is obviously Andrew Dice Clay. I'm giving away my age. He had a very specific style, a very specific voice. All right. So when you do what you do, make sure you're trying to say something. Make sure what you do, why do you do or want to do what you do? Make sure it's greater and deeper than I just want to make money doing this. Because if it's just I want to make money, people cannot connect or relate. So think about what you're trying to accomplish with your art. Art is supposed to say something. Let's just be as simple as literal art. A painting is not just a painting. I mean, there's literally college courses dedicated to analyzing paintings. What are they trying to say here? What was Michelangelo doing with this? What was right? Though it would be very funny if it turned out that, like, all these art classes like, hey, Michelangelo was trying to say this about this, and then like imagine we could actually talk to Michelangelo. Like, no, I just needed to pay the bills. I wanted to paint the painting. Right? I'm a Sicilian, so that's how my grandma used to. Anyway, all right, number 3. Third reason why you may not have found success yet. Are you getting involved? Okay, you need to be seen and be present around your community of interest. You also need, because if you are involved in your industry, if you are seen and present within your community, it helps build relationships. It allows you to establish value sets of what you're capable of, and you learn your industry firsthand. By getting involved, you are literally in the community of people that are important to you. Even if they're not Martin Scorsese, they're just people that are working doing what you're doing. But the thing is, you're working together in your field of interest. And I'm not talking about like with a band where you're playing some local club, your local bands, they all have day jobs. No, I'm talking about if you're working, if you're being a road, if you get a position as a roadie for somebody, if you start working at a record label, get in the industry, volunteer your time. And we're going to talk about how you can do that at the end of the episode, okay? Number 4, the fourth reason why you may not have found success is the 3 needs to succeed. So you have to say to yourself, am I networking? Am I marketing my brand, what's important to me? And am I practicing? Am I learning what my strengths and weaknesses are? Am I understanding and learning the industry of my interest? Because if you are not building and cultivating relationships, who do you know? How can you get involved if you don't know anybody? How can people connect to you if you don't know anybody, if you're not putting time into people? Okay. The other part is when you do anything, do you stick to your truth? Do you represent your brand in your actions, in your words? Does the value of who you are stand clear or stand up straight and clearly get itself represented? And are you learning your industry and personal strengths and weaknesses? Success is based on networking, marketing, and practice because networking is who you know, marketing is who knows you and remembers you, and practicing is about knowing yourself. So you have to have those three things working in conjunction. So before we hit the fifth thing, I like to say this. Please like, comment, and share the video along with subscribing for future content on how to be successful in your career, specifically in the entertainment industry. We like to share this content because it's free, it's knowledge. The only way we can work together, grow together, and rise together is if we elevate one another and share to inform. Because the misconceptions in our industry will destroy those with dreams and shatter them. So we like to break the misconceptions and teach people that it's not about the product that you're creating. It's not about the art. Do the art as all you want. Be passionate about the art. But if you rely on the art, you won't be successful. So that's why we share these videos. It's free information. We want to change the misconceptions that we have in this industry. So with that, let's get to the fifth reason why you may not have found success. You simply don't have the time to do what must be done. This is definitely something my clients come to me with. They go, I have lots of stuff I need to do, but I just don't seem to have enough time. Their time management isn't necessarily there. More importantly, their money management is not allowing them to have the freedom to do the time. And of course, they are not managing the people in their lives. But more importantly, to have a strong career, you need to dedicate yourself to it. And what does that mean? Well, if you want to be an actor, just dedicating yourself to the craft of acting isn't necessarily dedicating yourself to the career of acting. Being the best actor or the best writer or the best comedian isn't necessarily the tool you need to succeed. It's there for longevity. You have to be good enough to get into the game. That's why success is based on network, market, and practice. You got to at least be good enough to be in the game. But you'll become great as you develop. Like Robert De Niro wasn't Robert De Niro when he first started. No comedian is Louis C.K. when they first start. So when you get into the industry, you should be starting to build relationships, market your brand, and establish your abilities, your strengths and weaknesses. But if you rely solely on your craft, you're not actually you're dedicating yourself to a strong career. A career is defined by being able to be inside your industry and making, as we said earlier, but you can define your area of success. But how do we give ourselves the ability to dedicate ourselves to a strong career? Well, we do that by having a financial foundation of 18 months or more. So earlier I said, how are we going to be able to do this stuff, right? Well, time, right? So some people work for money, right? They work for money because they want to pay, right? So they'll give up time to be recouped for money, right? Instead of allowing money to give them time. So in the beginning, you have to sacrifice to save up your average monthly overhead and multiply that by 18 months, and there you go. So if let's just say your average monthly overhead is $2,000 a month, times 18 is $36,000. And you think, oh, I don't have time. I don't have time. I just need to be successful now. I just want to start doing now. If I I'll just work as a waitress or a waiter. And when my big break comes, woo, I'll be a millionaire. But I'll tell you right now, do your research. Nobody in the entertainment industry gets their big break all the time and then just becomes a millionaire. Some people, they get a big break and then it falls apart like that. The show gets canceled or the band loses their contract, okay? The thing about the 18 months is if you sacrifice now and you save up that money, work 2, 3, 4 jobs, whatever, just work, get that money. I've literally seen people stop their dream and go get like a paying job, like a guaranteed paying job to pay for like a $30,000 wedding. And then after the wedding, they went back to just working in the entertainment industry and not working to, like, I would have saved up to $30,000 again, because then you could focus. You could literally focus and dedicate yourself to your career because your foundation is affording your average monthly overhead. This covers your monthly average overhead so you can do things. If you have your 18 months, that gives you a year and a half. That means there's 6 months of, oh, I tripped, and a year to dedicate to getting in the industry. All right. So some things that have happened, I have a client that they were a pool boy. I don't know, right? They worked as a pool boy. They saved up money. They came to Brooklyn, and I introduced them to somebody who got him in as a PA. That PA, but they didn't have to work in it because they had the money. So they were able to do the PA, which didn't pay as much as you think, and it was very scattered. But they did their job. They were able to dedicate themselves. What is their job? Well, they networked, market, and practice. They started building, cultivating relationships just from that first gig. All right. And then their brand was the way they worked, how they were around other people, the way people remembered them. And then they were learning the industry more and more and understanding how it works and how this works. And you get that sense of, oh, wow, this is different than what I had assumed it was. Because a lot of times we just believe we know how the industry works until you're actually in the industry. But this 18 months gives you the power to focus. And by the way, that person, once they got their footing, before the year was up, was working full time in the entertainment industry. I have another client who started as a bank manager, quit bank managing after they had the money, started, and by the end of the month, they had 2 managers fighting on. They were already making money. And by the end of 3 or 4 months, they were already making more in acting than as a bank manager. And the reason is because they could if you can focus, like heavily focus on building, cultivating relationships, marketing your brand, and getting out there in the industry, because sometimes you have to volunteer your time for free, right? Just to get involved. But if you have the overhead, you could afford to do that. Okay. And when you have time, you can focus on creating. And the problem, this is the issue. This is reason why you may not have found success. This is the issue. When people do find the time, let's say they're like, I work 40 hours a week or 30 hours a week or 25 hours a week. And they're like, all right, I finally have some time to work on my career. What do they do? When you have the time, you focus on creating and not growing. That means if you're working a job as a waiter or wherever, you're just working a job, not in your industry, you're just working a job. And you come home, you focus on a product creatively or physically. I am a writer. I make money not because I write, but because I have built up my company and I established my relationships and my brand value. So people hire me to write scripts for them. People hire me to do script consulting for them, right? They didn't hire me because I'm a writer. It just so happens I'm a writer and they like me. So because they like me and I have the relationship, they hire me because they trust me. And that's the marketing, right? They trust my brand. Okay. So even though I do write and I write my own scripts, I don't write scripts going, this is going to make me $1 million. Because I know that script is not, that script is just like the greatest phone ever. If I don't have the relationships, if I don't have the brand value of trust and understanding and quality, and I don't understand the industry, that script I write, no matter how many scripts I write, will never go anywhere. If I have an album and I don't know anybody, nobody knows me, or at least trust in my brand, and I don't know the industry, that album is $10,000 wasted. If I write book after book after book after book, what good is it if people don't have anything to connect to or relate to? You have to be smarter than the product, okay? There are 2 brains, artist brain, business brain. Artist brain, when you are creating, create passionately. Allow yourself to just do whatever you want. If you want to write a story and the story is about water creatures that live in a cup and it's a microscopic world and somebody poured a cup and they just never emptied it and a world forming there. That's a crazy idea, right? How are you going to market that? Don't even worry about it. Just write the story. If you want to be an artist, just paint, draw, Whatever you want to do artistically, just do it. Do it passionately. Don't do it thinking, how am I going to sell this? Don't do it like, what would people, what do you think people would like? Let me make a water that people will like. No, don't think about that right now. And the reason is because the business brain activates as soon as the artist brain is done. And I'll explain why. Why do people, all right, Gary Vee said this, and I think it's brilliant. Why do people buy McDonald's? Right? Don't you know at least 5, 6, maybe even 10 other people that make a awesome hamburger? That make hamburgers that just, oh, I can't wait to make a hamburger. Haven't you ever been at a barbecue and been like, this hamburger is amazing? Why don't they make money selling hamburgers? How come they can't outsell McDonald's? McDonald's has an average at best hamburger, but they're selling something more than hamburgers. They're finding a solution, right? They're doing something bigger than selling hamburgers. They don't focus on the hamburger. They focus on the message, the community, how to connect with people. It's a family restaurant, it's affordable, it's blah, 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 whatever, right? So what I'm saying is allow yourself to create as much as you want, but, and don't let the business brain interfere. But when you're done creating, allow the business brain to say, all right, let's not worry about selling this. Let's worry about selling this or whatever, your company. What is our company's goal to accomplish? What do we want to accomplish? Are we trying to say something? Are we trying to help somebody or somebody's? Are we trying to add value of blank, blank, blank? Are we trying to inspire? Are we trying to whatever? Figure out what it is you want to do and go, how do I get involved in this? How do I let this happen? And then your products and your art and your creative outlets are just a tool to be purchased because you've earned the right. People don't buy from people they don't know, nor have connected to, nor relate to. Have you ever been on the street, if you're from New York like me? Have you ever been in Manhattan, Times Square, and someone comes up to you and they go, hey, I got a CD, I'm selling it for $15. You look at them like, I got $15 for that. But then you go and spend $30 on something you do have money for. And you don't even have money for it because you didn't budget yourself out. You don't have your overhead. You're just like, it's $30. I'd rather spend $30 on something I connect with or relate to or desire than spend $15 helping an artist do whatever. And by the way, I agree with you. I don't think you should be buying that $15 CD from an artist you don't agree. Why should you? If you don't connect to it or relate to it, you shouldn't have to buy that to support artists. However, there are other ways to support an artist if you're not paying for them, right? You share their stuff, you elevate them, you talk about them, you refer them, whatever the case may be. But you don't just do that to random strangers, right? Oh, wait. Yes, you do. But only celebrities, people that are successful that you connect to or relate to. So people will share a quote from Will Smith saying, hey, you should have, the people around you at my worst shouldn't be there at my best, right? Whatever the case may be. I'm paraphrasing a quote. But they relate with that statement, but they also relate with Will Smith. But if somebody who is your friend posts something almost exactly similar, you're not going to share that because you don't connect to the friend or relate to the friend in the same way that you like the clout of the celebrity. And that is the difference between an artist succeeding and not succeeding, is how do we get people to celebrate you because they connect to you and believe it. Anyway, all right, there you go. 30 minutes. We're done for the day. Please like, comment, and share this video. Leave some comments and leave some questions in the comments below. I'll be happy to answer them, and share this video. Subscribe for future content. As always, I'm Thomas J. Beleza. Have a great day. As we always say, peace and harmony. Work, grow, and rise together.